Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom is back, and welcome back to another episode of What Can You Get From That Pack series. So, the pack in question today is indeed the German 2010 to 2014 carbon fiber. Now, I'm shocked actually at how early this pack is released. Usually, because since we're speculating that 2010 to 2014 is the final requirement for the final, usually the final requirement packs are only out during the finals. For example, 2 weeks ago, not 2 weeks ago, but a week ago was the Aston Martin finals, or the Demon finals with Aston Martin Rex, and the Aston Martin packs only came out when the final was on, and not the prelims. But it looks like the 2010-2014 is coming for the prelims as well as the finals. I don't know, maybe the finals isn't actually 2010 to 2014. But anyway, the main thing here is we are going to review the 2010 to 2014 carbon fiber. I'm going to give you my thoughts and run you through these statistics and let you know if this is a good pack or not. So with that said, let's get into the pack. Alright guys, so here we are starting off with the ultra rares. So in the pack in total from 2010 to 2014, there are 45 cars you can get. Now these are also all filtered, so they're all German and they're all 2010 to 2014. Makes sense, right? So for ultra rares, you can get 14 ultras from this pack. 2 of them being RQ19. One of them is actually very, very good. Not this one. 5 are RQ20. 3 are RQ21 and 4 are RQ22. So let's get into it. So starting off is the Volkswagen Golf GTI. This is the car you do not want to get. This is kind of like the mine bomb. But that really goes for any German pack that isn't brand specific, right? So, packs that aren't roof carbons or Porsche carbons. I feel like there's a trend. No matter what kind of filter you put on a German pack, it's always going to have the same elements. It's gonna have some really, really strong cars, and then it's gonna have like just the worst cars. In this case, Volkswagen, literally just Volkswagen, and the lower RQ BMWs, right? And it's literally just filler. So we start with the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Not a great start, but we do have a very, very nice RQ19, the Opel OPC Extreme 5.0, 86 handling stock for an RQ19, and it's quite the light car, I do believe, so it's a very, very impressive thing. So this would be a car I would love to get if I open the pack. Also, it's an RQ19 I'd be happy with. Anyway, moving on to RQ20, we start with the Roof R56.11. Nothing too special about this one. It used to be super rare, then it went up to ultra, I think just because it went from low to medium. I don't exactly remember the change, but it wasn't even a super rare that really caught my attention. So the fact that it's an ultra now, it's still not going to get my attention. Moving on is the Mercedes-Benz G500. Once again, this is a car that I've owned a couple times. Every time I see this car, I think of like the Russian mafia or just like a boss, just a Russian boss. But yeah, nothing too special about this. If you guys know your G-Wagons in top drives, the G63 is top dog, and that's really all you need. But as I mentioned yesterday in the gameplay video / the carbon fiber video, I am starting to really gravitate towards specializing in Mercedes. So although I've used this 2-3 times, I might just keep it just because it's a Mercedes, but it's no keeper by any means. Moving on is the Maybach 62 Landaulet. Not a great car. It's very heavy. The only thing it's really good for is standard in the rain, which is as niche can get, so it's not really a car I recommend. This car is also a little bit of a sleeper. Not a sleeper in performance, it's a sleeper in the fact that it's a convertible, and not a lot of people will know that this is a convertible, especially from the picture. It looks like it has like a glass roof or something, but it's just topless really. So this is a convertible. I know, it took me off guard as well when I first found out about it. Anyway, moving on, we have the BMW 640D. Personally, this is a BMW that came from German Renaissance that I've actually never gotten. I've gotten a lot of German Renaissance BMW since GR came out, but this was one that has eluded me for the longest time. It's not like I'm jealous or anything, I don't really want this car, but it's just interesting to see because it's one of those cars where it's kind of like a unicorn to me, where I kind of forget that it's in the game, right? I forget it's in the game because I've never unpacked it, but also nobody uses it. So moving on is the BMW 435i Grand Coupe. This is a decent car. It has decent handling. It looks like a bit of an all-rounder, and it also has medium ground clearance. But once again, it's not really a car you're looking forward to from this pack. Moving on, we have the Porsche Cayman, which was the tier 2 prize in the qualifiers. This is a car that I do heavily dislike. A lot of people think it's decent because of its decent handling and amazing MRA. It has very, very good MRA, but along that amazing MRA, it has not one of the worst, but a very, very weak 0 to 60. It used to be RQ22. Well, actually, it used to be RQ21. It went up to 22 because of its amazing MRA, but it had no place there. It was destroyed by other RQ22 Porsches, and it is one of the weaker Porsches in the game. I would definitely just go after one of the 718s or the 911 4.2. The Cayman's not very good in my opinion, but it's a beautiful picture nonetheless. Moving on is the BMW 650i convertible. This is a car, this was my first German Renaissance Ultra Rare, which I got from a German premium pack. The stats are actually very good. The 0 to 60 is low. It's actually quite fast to 60. The handling is good. It has the convertible requirement, but it's just one of those cars that's in limbo for me. I have it maxed out, and it actually looks decent, but I barely use it because they're just cars that are slightly better, and in this case, the BMW M6. So maybe this event is, a chance for the 650i convertible to shine, considering the M6 would not be participating in at least the pre-eliminations, maybe even the finals if the requirements are indeed 2010 to 2014. Not a bad car. If I got this from the pack, I would not be happy, but I wouldn't be angry either. Moving on is the BMW 328i Gran Turismo. This is a car I think I've only gotten once. I think it used to be RQ20 and now it's 21. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know much about this car, but from what it looks like, it might be pretty useful in the finals, because we are speculating, and when I mean we, I mean me and my friends, the Boers, but honestly, I'm speculating that the finals is going to have some rain. It's going to have some rain. It's got to have some rain, because if you looked at the prizes from the pre-eliminations and the qualifiers, it's four-wheel drive here, standard there, so if they're giving out standard tire cars, there has to be at least some rain, so this car might be of some use in the final. Moving on is the BMW X6, a lot of BMWs in this pack, followed by the BMW 640i xDrive. Once again, two kinda decent performing cars, not the best, not the worst, not key cars, but not absolute trash either. Moving on is the BMW 330d Touring. This is a car I specifically want to get from this pack. If I were to get an Ultra, if I open this pack, I would love to get the 330d Touring. It's also the tier 1 prize car for the pre-elimination, so I would love to tier 1 in that event. I don't know if I will. I have a pretty good hand with the 918 and 2 Bugattis, but they aren't maxed, and you know how it is. It has to be maxed if you want to get tier 1, especially if it's only top 3. But this is a very good looking car. Standard tires, medium, and the stats are just all around just quite decent as well. Moving on, finally, the last one is the Audi S1. This was another car that I really wanted to get because it's medium, four-wheel drive, good handling. This was the tier 1 prize in the qualifiers, and I managed to grab this myself from a really amazing pack. If you haven't checked it out, do watch the video I posted yesterday. But this is a very, very good car nonetheless. Now, moving on to epics. So, in terms of epics, there are 19 epics you can get from this pack. 4 are 23, 5 are 24, 4 are 25, 4 are 26, and 2 are 29. So it's a pretty even playing field with what RQ you can get. There's a small chance you can get 29. The highest chance that you can get is 24, and then 23, 25, and 26 are all in the same amount. I have to say though, looking at the epics, it's not looking very nice. We start off the Volkswagen Golf R, which I think is one of the worst epics in the game. Well, actually, let's just compare. 5281. 5581, so it's really just a 0.3 difference, really. Moving on is the Maybach 57S. I used to have this. I actually had it twice, fused it twice. Moving on is the Mercedes AMG G63 6x6, the Joker car in the Guess the Car series I do with Android. The fact that it's a Joker car kind of speaks for itself. It's fused material, isn't it? But it is a very beautiful looking car, very unique, definitely very high in the Blossom Score category. But in terms of just being useful, this car is really useless. Moving on is the BMW 535R. Speaking of useless, this one continues with the useless trend. Now, moving on to 24, we have the Porsche Cayman GTS. Quite a handful of players in top drives will have this maxed out, considering this car used to be an Ultra. I personally myself have it maxed out, and then it went up to Epic. So some people you might be seeing this quite a bit in the finals if it is 2010 and 2014, even the prelims, who knows. Moving on is the Mercedes AMG E63, and now we're going to see a lot of Mercedes cars that people never really use, along with the C63, which was the tier 2 prize car, I think like a month ago, and a BMW X3 35D, followed by a BMW 1 Series M Coupe. Moving on is the Roof 3800S. Now I went through the 24s really quickly because let's be honest, the 24s were underwhelming. I wouldn't keep any of them, to be honest. Now, Roof 3800S. Right, this is a pretty interesting car because I hate it, or at least I used to hate it. I don't hate it anymore. Why I hated it was because I felt like it was overrated, because it used to be RQ26. It did not belong in the RQ26 range. It shared literally the same stats as the Camaro Z28, which is 25, with just slightly better MRA. Don't underestimate the Z28's MRA. It's actually pretty good. Not as good as the Roofs, but you know, they're pretty even. So I thought it was an overrated 26, and I never really liked it then, but I think right where it is at a 25 is in a very good spot. I think it's a very, very good 25 now. Definitely happy that I got this yesterday. Moving on is the BMW M6 Gran Coupe. Really beautiful car, huge fan of it. I wouldn't mind it. The handling is indeed very weak for an RQ25, but the MRA is good as well as the 0 to 60. That is Hellcat MRA, but it doesn't have Hellcat top speed. Wait, no, that's Hellcat 0 to 60, but it doesn't have Hellcat MRA. And it doesn't have Hellcat top speed. That's what I meant to say. Moving on is the BMW M3 CRT. This one is, you know, this is not a bad car. It's medium, but it's not as good as the M3 GTS. It's not as good as the M4. So really, it's kind of just a filler epic if you ask me. Moving on is the Audi S4. Once again, not much of a fan here. Four-wheel drive, medium, but very bad 0 to 60. You know, underwhelming handling. Not a great car. Moving on is one of the best epics you can get from this pack, the Mercedes-AMG SLS Roadster. This is a car that is on my wish list. It's kind of up there with the cars like the Lincolnfelter and the CT6. It's been here since the start of the game, and it used to be a legendary. It's an amazing car. It has strong MRA, 3.60 to 60, 86 handling, and a top speed of 197. It used to be the best convertible in the game, convertible epic in the game, but then came the Aston Martin CC100 to just ruin everything for the SLS. However, the SLS is still king in the drags if you 996 it. And only the short drag, so like quarter mile. Anyway, moving on is the BMW i8. You know, this car, I don't know much about it. It used to be like RQ24 or 25, and then I think it got a stat boost, and now apparently it's like one of the strongest epics in the game. I don't really know this car this much. I know Android Fanatic has it, so maybe he has, you know, some insight for you guys. Moving on is the BMW 750D xDrive. Now, this is why I was so excited when I got this car yesterday, because you will see later that this is the only standard tire medium four-wheel drive. Well, this is not the only one, but I think it is the only one actually, but this is the best standard tire four-wheel drive medium car that you can get from this pack, which means if there is City Streets Rain in the final, this is the car that you want. Also, it is the best standard tire car in the pack because all of the legendaries in this filter are all performance tires, although some of them are four-wheel drive. Last but not least, rounding up the epics is the Audi RS5 Cabriolet. I hate this car. Moving on. So, legendaries. There are 12 legendaries you can get from this pack. 4 are RQ27, 4 are RQ28, 3 are 29, and only 1 is RQ30. So legendary options from this pack are pretty bleak. So take a trip down the nostalgic road, memory lane, whatever you want to call it, because the cars you're going to see here are some real OG German legendaries. These are the ones that have been since the start of the game, or at least, you know, close to the start of the game. The Porsches are close to the start of the game. The Mercedes, they've been here since the start of the game. These are some really OG legendaries here. Barely any of them are German Renaissance. So we start with the Porsche Panamera Turbo, the worst legendary in the game. Moving on with the Porsche Cayenne GTS, used to be epic. Moving on is the Mercedes AMG SLS Electric, along with the Mercedes AMG SLS. These are cars that have been around forever, I'm sure you guys know. Moving on is the Porsche 911 GT3. Beautiful picture on that, love that. Along with the Mercedes AMG SLS GT and the SLS Black Series, which is indeed my dream Mercedes. So I wouldn't mind getting this from a pack. It's a really good car. I mean, it's not one of the best RQ28s. It's one of the weaker 28s if you ask me. It's, you know, pretty low 0 to 60. The handling is not even 90. But I just have sentimental feeling towards this car. I love the Black Series. Moving on is the Audi R8 Spider V10. It has the four-wheel drive capability, of course, along with the Roof RT35, which I think is the only German Renaissance legendary you can get from this pack. Moving on is the Porsche 911 Turbo. I remember when this baby used to be RQ30 because I unpacked it when it was an RQ30, along with the Porsche 911 GT2 RS, and I remember when this used to be RQ28, and then, you know, everyone found out it had like 101 MRA, and they were like, yeah, no, this is 29. And then moving on are the two epics that are 29, is the Audi TT RS Plus Coupe, along with the Audi RS6 Avant Delimited, and finally rounding it off is the Porsche 911 Turbo S. The last couple of cars I showed you needs no introduction, you know, you'd be happy if you get them. Very, very useful cars indeed. So with that said, let's get back to the pack. So the German 2010 to 2014 carbon fiber, what do I think of it? Well, like I said, it's a very German pack, you know, in terms of top drive. So a lot of good cars, useful cars, but also a lot of filler, right? The Volkswagens and the BMWs. The Ultra Rares, you know, they're not very good. Most of them are cars that you probably wouldn't want to get. The Epics as well, it's kind of like a 60-40, 60% bad, 40% good. Or if you want to be even more strict, 60% bad, 20% decent, 20% good. So the Epic haul isn't very good. The Legendary haul isn't that great either, really. Unless you're a fan of the SLSs, I wouldn't really recommend opening this pack. You can't even get the new GT2s or the GT3s in here. You just get the old 911 Turbo and the older GT2 from, I think, 2011. So not the best pack. Not the best pack. So I personally wouldn't recommend you to open it. However, if you want to get the Urus, or you are a huge fan of the SLS or some of these older 911 Porsches, then go ahead. But with that said, am I gonna open this pack? I'm probably not going to, but I do have a decent foundation for 2010 to 2014. So if that is indeed the final requirement, and I see that I'm like one key car off, I might open one just to get that chance. But out of the blue, I would not open this pack. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this video helped you in deciding if you're going to open this pack or not. If you do, let me know what you get, and good luck to all of you guys. Anyway, with that said, hope you guys have a great day. Remember to wash your hands, and I'll see you all next time. Blossom out.